Hi students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian. I'm streaming to you from beautiful Victoria here on the west coast of Canada, not too far from the American border. I hope everybody is having an awesome weekend so far. I hope you're all doing great, and I hope that you are ready to learn for some IELTS speaking, because right now we're doing IELTS speaking part 2. We're focusing on a cue card about meetings, and we're going for that band 9 score. So hopefully we'll all do our best to achieve those high band scores. This is a members chat class. Of course, everybody is welcome to watch. To become a member of our channel, simply click the join button next to the subscribe button. If you don't see that button, don't worry about it. We can give you more help. And if you have any questions, you can ask us about the IELTS or about English. Just send me an email to adrian@aehelp.com. Welcome, Baljit. Hi, Jyoti. I see lots of our members joining in now. That's fantastic. Students, this lesson is presented to you by aehelp.com. For academic IELTS success, check us out there. This is our academic IELTS website here. All you have to do is just click this big red button to join our premium package. It's a one-time payment to get access for a lifetime to our practice exams, our interactive courses, over 100 hours of HD videos with the most popular speaking interview videos on the web in the entire world. So it's well worth it. We're an IELTS test registration center and certified British Council agents, so you're in great hands with us. For the general, check us out at gieltshelp.com. Again, click this big red button there to join the premium package. We'll be using our academic course today, Baljit, Jyoti Nutan, to practice some of this cue card speaking once we talk a bit of strategy about it. All right, students. So again, the courses, you can access them at aehelp.com for academic IELTS and gieltshelp.com for general IELTS. So check those out there. And check out the new Band 9 speaking video that we have on YouTube as well. It's fantastic. It gives you a good idea of what you have to do. You can also use all of our materials on your phone. Get our app, Academic IELTS Help. For general IELTS students, get our app, General IELTS Help. Makes sense, right? Instagram, IELTS_AEHelp, and GIELTS Help. Follow our lessons, the schedules, daily vocabulary, lots and lots of goodies going on there. Hi, Nutan. Good to have you in the class. All right, everyone. So we've got lots more classes coming up over the next week with a little bit of break in between. Today we've got speaking part 2 right now for members, and then we will have speaking part 3 right after that's connected to speaking part 2. So it's a good idea to hang out in this class. Next class, speaking part 3, in about 90 minutes. Everybody will be able to join that chat. Okay. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, we have a short break. But then back on Wednesday, February 2nd, with speaking part 1 for everyone. So lots of classes. Again, these schedules, you can find it on our YouTube community posts, as well as on our Instagram profiles. Let's get into today's part 2 cue card. This is a part 2 cue card that's quite similar to a card which was in the official IELTS exam a few months back. So just so you know, we're working with the exact same kinds of materials as your official IELTS, okay? And you have to be careful because not all of your resources online or what you get are the same, but we really focus on having very similar difficulty in types of materials. Okay, so this one here, it's speaking part 2. You're in the IELTS exam. The speaking section is a separate interview. It's done at a separate time from your listening, reading, writing. It only takes about 12 minutes, so it's the fastest section by far. So you really have to be on the ball. You have to do your best. Okay. IELTS speaking part 2, you get shown some questions. So first they will ask you about 4 or 5 questions for speaking part 1, maybe a couple more, maybe 6. That'll take about 3-4 minutes, and then they will say, okay, that is the end of part 1. Now we will continue with part 2. For part 2, I will show you some questions. You will have 1 minute to read these questions, think about your answers, and then you will have 1 to 2 minutes to speak. You can take notes in the 1 minute if you wish. I will tell you when to start and when to stop. Describe a meeting you remember going to at work or school. Your 1 minute preparation time begins now. And your 1 minute preparation time now begins. Okay. So the first step is to read all of the questions carefully. All right. Members, I'm just looking at my feedback screen here, and I want to make sure that it's clear and everything is working fine. So can everybody kind of hear me clearly in good speed? Because it looks like it's almost a little bit slower. Something's going on there. Okay, so do you hear me well? Are you getting a good feed? Or is it laggy? Okay, Kwa Pham says clear, sir. All right, okay. Just wanted to double check that. All right. Okay, better find that out early, sooner than later. Okay, so your step number 1. Yeah, great. Thanks for that feedback, Nutan Jyoti, Kwa Pham. Excellent. Okay, so step number 1 always is to read the question carefully twice. Why do I say read it twice? Especially the topic sentence. So why is that so important? What's the reason for that? It's not by accident. Okay. Hopefully you're thinking of this answer. You must be sure that you are talking about the correct ideas. Okay. Nutan says to understand the objective given. Absolutely, Nutan. Yeah, you have to make sure that you're not talking about meetings in general or meetings that people go to, but that you are talking about meetings that you go to. So step number 1, you read it twice. Okay. Kwa Pham says to avoid irrelevant content. That's a very good way to look at it as well, Koa. Absolutely. So here we go. Read this with me. Describe a meeting you remember going to at work or school. Okay, so obviously this is a meeting I went to at work or at school. All right. Let's see. What should we talk about? When and where the meeting was held. Okay, there's 2 questions there. There's a when for time and where for location. Who was at the meeting? What the people at the meeting talked about, okay, and explain why you remember going to this meeting. All right, so one more time, when and where the meeting was held, who was at the meeting, what the people at the meeting talked about, and explain why you remember going to this meeting. Okay, good. So the next step is to identify the category and the topic, okay? The category, topic, and tense. So what is the category? Now, when I say category on IELTS in Part 2 Q card, you basically have 5 kinds of main categories that you might need to talk about. People, objects, places, ideas, and events. It's kind of this combination. So each of these 5 has a specific set of ideas that you have to include to talk about them in a structured and clear way. Okay? So here, hopefully our members are realizing that we are going to be talking about an event, right? So it's a meeting. A meeting is an event, okay? And when we talk about an event, there are some very important points to include. That's right, Jyoti. It's an event. And what kinds of events? So the topic is a past meeting, okay? The tense will be the grammar, especially for the verbs. Will be past, past perfect, present perfect, and maybe some present. Not really future, okay? So your past, present, future doesn't really work here because you're not going to talk about the future in this question. It doesn't ask you about that, okay? So when we talk about an event, we need to include some important points. What do we need to include? Yeah, and Nuthan says we have to say it was, it had, and so on. Absolutely. And when we talk about an event, first of all, we want to talk about the event. So its description, what it is, right? It's a meeting, okay? Its location, its time. The attendees. Who was there, right? Who were the people at this event, okay? The activities, right? So what happened there? This is where all your verbs come into play. And then your experience. Was it good? Was it bad? Was it fun? Was it interesting? So that's what you need to talk about. And you should talk about it in this way. So first, explain what it is, right? Then explain when it happened. Next, explain where it happened. Of course, we need to know who was there, right? And what everybody did. And then how did you feel about it? So if you think about these, you basically have a very similar kind of concept in the cue card here. When and where, so time and location. Who was at the meeting? That's the attendees. What people at the meeting talked about, that's the activities. Why you remember it, that's your experience. And again, this is a cue card that was given to IELTS candidates last year, okay? So, Baljit, you have the right idea. Make sure that you're not thinking of it in question form, but you're thinking of it in statement form. So, description, time, location, attendees, activities, and experience. Okay? The best is to think about it as a statement like that. Okay? All right, so we're talking about a past meeting, and the tense will be past, past perfect, present perfect, because most of it is talking about this meeting in the past. Okay, so let's go to the next step. Step 3. Step 3 is think about 2 to 3 good ideas to choose from. Okay, so don't just think one idea and then go with it. Okay, don't just think about one idea and decide it. It's best to think of 2 or 3 ideas, because you might realize that, oh, okay, wait a second, this idea is way better than my first thought, or this one, okay? And remember, be original, okay? So don't talk about a business meeting that you went to that sounds very cliche, okay? Think about one where you have lots of information, lots of content, so you avoid repetition and that you can show good lexical resource, good grammatical range and accuracy. That's what they're marking you on, okay? Baljit says, okay, I got you. All right, so be original, lots of content, okay? And be specific. So don't just say I went to a business meeting and then be really general. You want to be more specific like that, okay? So original, lots of content, and try to choose something that's easy to talk about. Okay, don't go overboard. So think about some common meetings. If you haven't been in a meeting for a long time, that's okay. Just, think about what kind of meetings people go to. All right. Okay, so give me some ideas here, members. What kinds of meetings? What kinds of meetings could we talk about? What kinds of meetings do people go to? So for instance, parent-teacher meeting at school, right? That's a very common one that if you're a parent, you're going to attend, is a parent-teacher meeting, okay? Yeah, Nuthan, very good. Nuthan saying, can we speak about it as a virtual meeting? Absolutely, Nuthan. A lot of meetings are done on Zoom today. So parent-teacher meeting on Zoom. Yeah, that's the way parent-teacher meetings are here in Canada right now. Absolutely. Jyoti says, student union meeting at university. At New Delhi University, sure. Yeah, Baljit, try to be specific. So Baljit says meeting with a tutor, okay? Meeting with tutor about essay writing, okay? That's what I mean. The be specific part is very important. Okay, good. All right. Baljit says family budget meeting. Okay, again, Baljit, family meeting is a good start. Think specific, so like a family budget meeting. Okay, how everybody is spending money in the family, what the family is spending money on, so that the family knows the finances. That's a very, very good kind of thought there. Jyoti says appraisal meeting. Home appraisal meeting with the realtor. Very good. Okay, lots of great ideas coming up here. All right. Baljit says meeting with friends to play a game on the weekend. I think that might be too simple, Baljit, but possible. Okay, how about a community meeting about new shopping mall? So how about that? Community meeting about a new shopping mall in the neighborhood. All right. Okay, we've got lots of good ones here, members. Lots of good ones. I'd say most of these are going to be really good choices for this. So now we just want to choose one that works. I'm going to choose this last one because I think it's one we can all talk about clearly. Okay. So let's do that one. Community meeting. About the new mall. There's lots of information around that one. Okay. All right. And I think a lot of people are familiar with these kinds of meetings, what they are. Okay. Okay. So now your next step, step 4, is useful notes. Okay. Follow the category points. Okay. So we already have number 1, what it's about. It's a community meeting about a new mall. Okay. Now we need to talk about the time of the meeting. Okay. So when is this meeting held? Okay. So let's say Saturday, 7 p.m. Last month. Okay. On 15th. Okay. Be specific. So you want to be quick there. Okay, whatever time you come up with, it works. Just make sure that you are specific. You don't need to write time in your notes. You can, if you want, just write T like that. So you remember that that's the time. Location. Okay, for the location, Zoom is good. Zoom, pandemic, yeah, convenient. A lot of meetings, even if there's no pandemic, you'll see in the future will be held on Zoom or virtually because it's just more convenient. More people can attend it, right? Okay. Yeah, career development meeting, Nutan, would be good too. Now remember, students, when you're thinking about the meetings, don't go overboard, all right? So stick to 3 ideas. We came up with a lot of ideas, just I think, because, you know, we have lots of us in the class, but 2, 3 good ideas is enough. Then choose one. Realize, okay, I think this is going to be the most original, easiest to talk about, and stick with that one. Shab Hunter, welcome to our group of members. Send me an email so I can hook you up with those exclusive videos, okay? Now, when you're thinking about Zoom meeting, pandemic, it's convenient. Also think about where you are. You still have a physical location, right? So visualize, okay? This is just your for you here, but visualize. So you don't just want to say, oh, it was on Zoom. Yeah, it was on Zoom, fine, but where were you? Where were the other people, okay? All right. Maybe some of the other people were in City Hall, some of the city representatives, maybe the people who are building the mall, the developers, they were probably in some office building. People who were in the community were probably in their living rooms, right? So be specific, think, okay? Yeah, so Nutan's saying something very important here. So Nutan says, this is why we read the question twice, okay? Because the question says, and very good point, Nutan. Here, the question is about work or school, okay? So it has to be work or school, and that's a very good realization, Nutan. So does that mean that we now have to get rid of this this idea? Not at all, right? We just have to adapt it. So if this happens, Nutan, in the IELTS exam where you realize that, oh, okay, I'm talking about a community meeting, but that's not really a meeting at work or at school, then I'm going to be in trouble, especially if I got to this point. And I'm glad that you pointed that out, Nutan, because this can happen. to people. Okay, so this is why we have to really pay attention to that cue card. However, this can be, for instance, a work-related meeting. So perhaps you're not a member of the community, but you are a member of City Hall or the office, okay? So you could be a developer on the project. You could be working for the city, trying to get public opinion, okay? No, Baljeet, don't replace Zoom, okay? Because you might not be a student, okay? So the easiest would be to just adapt yourself as a public service worker, right? So you're working in City Hall, maybe you're volunteering, okay? So there's lots of ways that you can adapt this to the question. Just make sure that you realize that and you concentrate on that, okay? So think quick, think on your toes, all right? Okay, so now we've got the time, we've got the location, and now we're making sure that we're on topic with working, meeting, okay, so from the office or from City Hall. Very good, all right, very nice, Nathan. Okay, so we now need the attendees, right? Okay, so local citizens, store owners, developers, politicians, right? So those are all the different people who are attending this meeting. Okay, and then the activities. Okay, so what would you discuss in this meeting? So if there's a new mall that's being proposed in your neighborhood, or that you're proposing for your neighborhood, if you're the employee for the developers, then what are you going to be discussing? So if you're one of the speakers, maybe, what will you be discussing? Maybe engineers as well, right? There's lots of ways that you could adapt this meeting to make sure that it's school or work, okay? So the activities, the time of construction, the location, the impact on environment, on the economy, on social life. Okay, so those would all be topics that would be discussed, right? And this is very easy to visualize. So if you think about it, okay, there's a new mall, they're going to build this in the neighborhood. What are some key talking points that people will talk about in this regard? Of course, they're going to talk about, you know, the construction, when it will start, how long it will take, how it will change the neighborhood, how it will impact the youth in the neighborhood, how it will impact the environment in the neighborhood. Okay, so all of those activities. And then your experience. Okay, so did you like it? Was it productive? Okay. Okay, so it was good and it's exciting. For now, we can just leave it at that. And then the next step is step 5, which is a very important step, okay? Get your first sentence ready. Now, some of you are thinking, well, yeah, but it's only 1 minute. Okay, I'm going to show you how this all works in 1 minute in just a second. So step 5 is first sentence. Okay, members, please write your first sentence. You should always have your first sentence ready before your 1 minute preparation time is up. Hopefully by this time, as Nuthan clearly pointed out, you've realized that this is for work or for school, okay? So you have to make sure that you target that, okay? A meeting I had at my job last month was a community meeting For a proposed mall in the neighborhood with the citizens, where I talked about the social impact. Okay, so now let's see. So a meeting I had at my job last month was a community meeting for a proposed mall in the neighborhood with the citizens, where I talked about the social impact. Okay, that sounds all right. That sounds like a good solid start. I can definitely be on a way to a band 9 with that. Different ways to do this. Again, this is just showing the examiner that you read the question carefully and you realize that it is for work or school. So it's at your job. You're talking about the social impact. Okay. And it was a meeting in the past, so it shows that. When you're looking at this, okay, when you're thinking about this, so this is Nuthan, where you can realize that, you know, again, it's school or work, because when you come up with that first sentence, you should look at this topic sentence one more time on the cue card. So describe a meeting you remember going to at work or school, and then go, oh, okay, this has to be work or school, so I have to make this like my job. A meeting I had at my job last month was a community meeting for a proposed mall in the neighborhood with the citizens, where I talked about social impact. Okay. Okay, Baljit says this. Okay, so this is what Baljit said, and again, it's good. So Baljit is adapting it as well. Baljit wrote, when I was volunteering last year at my community center. Yeah, and volunteer work is good. I attended a meeting about the construction of a new mall in the area. Yeah, very nice, Baljit. Absolutely. That would work just fine. Okay, so that's a good example as well. Okay, and now you basically just go through your notes and create full sentences. It is absolutely okay, and it's a good idea to look at your notes while you're speaking, okay? So it is a very good idea to use your notes and the cue card while you are speaking. You do not have to keep staring at the examiner. Eye contact is important, but no, you don't have to do it nonstop, okay? So you don't have to be like this with the examiner for the full 20-minute interview. They might actually start to feel a bit awkward if you're staring at them like this for 20 minutes, or not 20 minutes, but 12 minutes, okay? So you do not, it's not a stare down competition. So you do not have to maintain uninterrupted eye contact. Okay, it's not the goal here, all right? Okay. Sub says this for the start of this cue card response. Okay, I have attended many meetings. I'm going to share my experience of a meeting which I had last month with community members. Sab, you can only get a band 6.5 with this. Okay, this is too general. So Sab, maybe you heard in some lessons or somewhere online that you can say like, I have gone to many for this topic and I'm going to talk about this. It's time wasting. You're not getting any points for that because the examiners know that students read about this, and it's not good communication. They're not asking you about how many meetings you had. They're not asking you about what you're going to talk about. They just want you to talk about it. So Sab, this is why it's so good that you joined us, because I'm going to help you get a way better band score on your IELTS exam, okay? This is bad IELTS information. Do not start like this, okay? You should specifically answer the cue card and not waste time about what you will talk about. And about all the other meetings that you attended, okay? So Sab, give me a thumbs up so I know that you're on board here. So notice how with Baljit's been in the class longer, he's got a much more specific response. He says, when I was volunteering last year at my community center, I had attended a meeting about the construction of a new mall in the area. It's very specific. He's already picking up lexical resource marks. He's already picking up marks for grammar, for being original. He's picking up marks. So this would be like a band 9 start. Okay, and what you're doing here, and I know it's because you're a new member, Sab, and you don't know this yet. You're still using just some bad information from the internet or some teachers. So this would be like a band 6 start. Okay, so that's a very important difference between these two. All right, okay. So please remember that for your IELTS exam, okay? Be specific, and that's why it's good to prepare your first sentence right away. Okay, so students, to do this in 1 minute, right? Let me show you how to do this. So I'm going to open up my computer clock here so I can show you that you can do this in 1 minute, all right? So I read the question twice. Describe a meeting you remember going to at work or school. Describe a meeting you remember going to at work or school. When and where the meeting was held, who was at the meeting, what the people at the meeting talked about, and explain why you remember going to this meeting, okay? When and where, who, what they talked about, explain why you remember going to this meeting. Okay, maybe a parent-teacher meeting, maybe a meeting with my volunteer group about picking up garbage in the community, or how about a community project like a shopping mall that they want to build in my neighborhood. Okay, I'm gonna go with that one. It was held, last month. We did it on Zoom. I was in my office. Store owners, developers were there. We talked about the location, the construction, environment, economy. I'm picturing this. I'm picturing the meeting. It was kind of fun. It was important. It's exciting to have this development. Now I'm writing my first sentence, and I write down a meeting I had at my job last month. Was a community meeting that proposed a mall in the neighborhood with the citizens, and I talked about the social impact. Okay. So then I keep going with my notes, right? So to be specific, this meeting was held in December on a Friday, or sorry, on a Saturday at 6 p.m. So that many people from the area had a chance to attend after working hours. Okay, so it's not by accident that I said Saturday at 6. It's so that people can attend the meeting. Okay, we held this meeting on Zoom using the internet. Because of the pandemic, and it was also more convenient for people to attend from the comfort of their homes and businesses. Zoom is a great piece of software that allows people to interact real time, remotely, using their camera, microphone, in a group setting. Okay. So why am I telling the examiner what Zoom is? Because even though the examiner might know what Zoom is, they might not. Okay, not everybody uses Zoom, but they probably would, but that's okay. I'm still giving them more detail and description about the meeting and the structure of the meeting, right? So a very important rule in your IELTS speaking is don't assume that your listener knows what you know, okay? All right. So I was sitting in my office at City Hall, and my task was to explain how this new mall would impact the environment and economy of the community. Okay, I'm just putting my notes together. Like if you're wondering, okay, how do I come up with all of this so quickly? And you don't have to use the same words, okay? So focus on the ideas more than the words. Okay, so here I'm focusing on the ideas, specifically the ideas in my notes. So I talked about the time, and even if the time is a little bit different in my notes than what I say, that's totally fine. I just want to make sure that I cover it. I talked about that it's a Zoom, about where people are, including myself, so that's good. Okay. I haven't really talked about the attendees yet. Okay, so remember we have that very important point, and I remember these because I practiced these before my IELTS exam. I have to describe the time, location, the attendees' activities, and experience. Okay. All right. So now, yeah, I can see some good tips there. Okay. Saab says, Zoom, it's convenient. Almost every person has a phone, so there were a lot of people attending. Yeah, so that would be my next part here, Saab, is the attendees. Throughout the meeting, about 30 different people from the community attended, as well as the architects, engineers, and other council members. Some of the developers explained the timeline of the construction, while shop owners and residents asked questions and voiced their opinions. Okay. All right. In the end, the meeting went off well, and most people are excited about this new mall being built in their locality. Okay, now at this point, I want to look at the card and make sure that I'm answering all the questions on the card as well. Okay, so like I said, use the card, look at the card. Who was at the meeting? Check, I've answered that. Okay, when and where the meeting was held? Check, I've answered those questions. What the people at the meeting talked about? Yes, all good there. Why you remember this meeting? Okay, so I need to add maybe one more piece about that just to make sure that I get full marks, right? That full band 9, right? I specifically remember this meeting because I usually do not go to the office on the weekends, but this time I needed to be there on a Saturday, right? Because I said at the beginning that it was on a Saturday, all right? Okay, and now I'm good. I'm talking about this as a part of my work. I'm answering it specifically. I'm using great lexical resource, vocabulary, grammatical range, and accuracy, and all is good. So let's go to the beginning. Let's read this cue card one more time and then read the answer. So this is speaking, everybody, so make sure to speak and repeat. Okay, so speak and repeat. All right, here we go, everyone. So IELTS speaking part 2. Describe a meeting you remember going to at school or work. You should say when and where the meeting was held, who was at the meeting, what the people at the meeting talked about, and explain why you remember going to the meeting. Okay, here we go. Do this with me, everyone. So your 1 minute preparation time is up. Please begin speaking. A meeting I had at my job last month was a community meeting for a proposed mall in the neighborhood with the citizens where I talked about the social impacts. To be specific, this meeting was held in December on a Saturday at 6 p.m. so that many people from the area had a chance to attend after working hours. We held this meeting on Zoom using the internet because of the pandemic, and it was also more convenient for people to attend from the comfort of their homes and businesses. Zoom is a great piece of software that allows people to interact in real time remotely using their camera and microphone in a group setting. I was sitting at my office at City Hall, and my task was to explain how this new mall would impact the environment and economy of the community. Throughout the meeting, about 30 different people from the community attended, as well as architects, engineers, and other council members. Some of the developers explained the timeline of the construction, while shop owners and residents asked questions and voiced their opinions. In the end, the meeting went off well, and most people are excited about this new mall being built in their locality. I specifically remember this meeting because I usually do not go to the office on the weekends, but this time I needed to be there on a Saturday. Okay, your time is up. I'm going to stop you there, and now we will continue with part 3. For part 3, I will ask you a question related to your response and some questions on this topic, and then the examiner will continue with part 3. Don't go anywhere. I want to give a chance to some of our viewers, especially our members, to try this part 2, okay? And I'll give you some feedback. We've got a bit of time for this. So to do this, we're going to use our website, and I think a lot of our members already know how this is going on, okay? So please go to the website, aehelp.com. Okay, I'm going to do that now because we have a chat interface like Zoom kind of thing on the website. Okay, so this is aehelp.com here. Click the My Student account if you have an account. If you don't have an account, you can create an account by clicking this green Try Demo, or you can create a the premium account. You have to, of course, pay for that one with the join now, and that's a really good idea. So either of those to create your account. Then you have a My Student account. You log in. After you log in, click on the Student Partner Speaking. Accept that you're going to be polite and responsible for your speaking. And then right now we have lots of students already in here. That's awesome. And Baljit, I see that you're in here. Koa, I also see that you're in here. Who would like to give this a shot? So give this cue card a go, okay? Especially those of you who have been watching. I'm looking for members primarily, as this is a members chat class. But Lynn, I will definitely give you a chance if nobody else volunteers. So Nutan says, okay. I'd love to volunteer. Nutan is a member, so let's give him a chance. All right, are you ready? All right, Nutan. And if you're a member but you're not in the chat, let me know, okay? We'll look you up. All right. Okay, Koa wants to volunteer too. Koa, you're coming up after Nutan, okay? All right. Let me try to call Nutan here. It seems like Nutan's ready. Yep.
Hello, sir.
Hi, Nutan. How are you?
I'm very good, sir. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. Thanks for asking. Okay, Nutan. So go ahead and try this part 2. You can use the same answer that we talked about. So this community meeting about the new mall. Or if you want, you can try a different one. It's up to you. Okay?
Yes, sir. I have prepared my the information. I can talk on that one, sir.
Okay, sure. Just give me a second. I'll go back to the cue card and I'll start you off. Just a second.
Yes, sir.
All right, so here's Nutan. Let's go back to the cue card. I'll bring the cue card up on screen so everybody can see this question. All right, so Nutan, describe a meeting you remember going to at work or school. Your 1-minute preparation time is up. Please begin speaking.
Oh, yeah, meeting was held on 27 Jan at 12 p.m. in my office for the discussion for the new project startup and also the employee resource availability. The team lead, the line manager, and myself were present at the hall for the discussion. We discussed on how to start and what is the duration required and what is the possibility of outcome and uh, and the total employee required to perform the task and also the tools required for the task also we discussed. And this meeting was very much useful for us, and we were able to get, and it was great. It was great meeting between all of us, and finally we were able to attain the goal and information required so that we can complete the project in time without delay. Even today I remember this meeting as this was the first meeting in my professional work after my education.
All right, your time is up. I'll stop you there. And now we will continue with part 3. For this part, I will ask you a question related to your response and some questions on this topic. Okay, that was really good. All right, Nutan, well done. I really liked how you were precise, you were detailed. You didn't repeat yourself. You followed the structure. So time, location, people who went there. It was very clear for me. Okay, so you said January 27th. It was at your office. The team lead, the line manager, yourself. You talked about the requirements. So that was all really, really good. Okay, I thought that was great. I think for that speaking, you would get a band 7.5. And as you were going along, it felt like you started to get a bit more and more nervous about your response. Like your voice got a bit shaky. Don't be nervous. You're doing fantastic. So be confident all the way to the end. You were doing very well. So you don't need to get nervous there. So that was a band 7.5. To get a higher band score, like a band 8.5 or 9, you would
Yes,
need
sir.
more detail. So
Okay.
give a little bit more detail. The detail here I would like to have heard is what was this project exactly? So
Correct. Correct.
what
Yes.
was the can you tell me what the project was?
It was a project on the railway infrastructure.
Okay, so railway infrastructure, which is good. So that means probably like building some new railway lines
Yes.
or okay, and that's where you can give a little bit more detail. So we were discussing about building some new railway lines to some of the suburban areas in New Delhi, specifically like another 100 kilometers of railway lines to service some developing areas. And then that kind of information
Correct.
would be like, oh, okay, that's what was the, like the core of this meeting, because you talked about the meeting and everything was clear about that except the one point, which is what was the meeting exactly happening on, right? So more
Right.
detail. Railway infrastructure, 100 kilometers of new railway lines.
Yeah, and the new development of railway around
Exactly,
near.
whatever comes to
Yeah.
mind. Yeah, so whatever
Yes,
comes to
sir.
mind. I mean, you can kind of make up a lot of different points on the railway lines investing $1 million, etc. So there's a lot there, right?
Yes.
Okay, but otherwise it was very, very good. Okay, so you did a great job. I thought that was fantastic. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Yesterday I messed up in speaking part one, so I just wanted to make sure I would do good in speak part two today. So that's why I was focused on it today.
Good for you.
Yes.
Yeah. Always think positive and learn from the past, look to the
Yeah.
future. That's what makes for great learning. Absolutely. Good smart thinking, Nutan. Well done. All right.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you for volunteering. Okay, everyone, give Nutan a clap and a thumbs up in the chat because that was really good, and he could tell he really put in an effort. He went original, and that was awesome. Okay. All right. Let's take one more here. So, to Koa, I see that you said you want to volunteer. Koa, you got to send me a message in the chat. Okay, it's better. Let me see if you are ready here. Okay, so hi, Koa. Are you ready? Make sure you enabled your microphone and your speaker, Koa. That's the only way this will work. Thank you, Jyoti and Mal, for giving a clap for Nutan. That was really good. And you could tell Nutan was a bit nervous there, but kept going. Didn't stop. That was great. Okay, Koa's ready too. All right, let's do this. Hi, Koa. I can hear that you picked up, but I can't hear you, and it's always suspicious whether or not it's the microphone that's not enabled in the speaker in your browser. So you have to check that. And a good way to check that, Koa, is when you have some time, try to ping one of the other members. So maybe reach out to Baljit or Nutan or somebody else that's in the chat and test your system with them. Okay? Because I can't hear you right now. And don't worry if we don't get a chance right now, if you can hear me, because we'll have speaking part 3 coming up in 30 minutes. So if you're in here and you figure it out by then, I'll look for you, okay? So I'll look for you in the next class, okay? All right. Okay, so let me try Baljit. I think Baljit wants to volunteer as well here. So are you ready, Baljit? Okay. So hopefully Baljit's ready. I'm ready as I'll ever be. Okay. All right, Baljit, here we go. Hi, Baljit.
Hello, sir. How are you?
I am doing quite well, thank you. How are you?
I'm also doing great, sir.
Good. All right, Baljit. So you've been very active in the chat today. It's good. I'm glad to see that. All right, so I'll start you off here and then give me your response. The same or different, up to you, okay?
Okay, sir. I have prepared the same.
All right, sounds good. Okay, so describe a meeting you remember going to at work or school. Your 1 minute preparation time is up. Please begin speaking.
When I was volunteering last year at the community center, I had attended a meeting about the construction of a new mall in the area. And the meeting took place over Zoom. This is the application this is the software which is nowadays everyone using because it is convenient, and people can use it on the comfort of their home. And the time of the meeting was around 6 p.m. in the Saturday, because in the Saturday everyone stays at their home, and there were a lot of attendees in the meeting, about 40 to 15 people, because everyone in the meeting was talking about the construction of a new mall, and they wanted to decide the location of the this mall. And firstly, they decided it to construct it in the heart of this city, and after a huge consensus about this opinion, everyone agreed about it. And I also got participate in this meeting, and I had a huge chance to talk about this meeting, and that's why I remember it till today. So this was the meeting which I enjoyed, and I talked about this mall more.
Okay, your time is up. Baljeet, I will stop you there, and now we'll continue with part 3. And please put the note paper and the pen to the side. I will ask you a question related to your response and some questions connected to this topic. Okay, Baljeet, pretty good. Definitely an easy 6.5, maybe a 7 as well. The difference, I don't like comparing students, but I'm going to do it, Baljeet, because I'm comfortable to do it with you. So the difference between what you were doing and what Nutan did is, and I'm sure you realize this as well, as Nutan was a little bit more structured and a little bit faster with his answers. You felt a little bit more lost. You did have direction, you did answer the questions, but it felt like you were searching a bit for what to say in each different piece. So the beginning was very strong. You said, when I was volunteering last year at the community center, I had attended a meeting about the construction of a new mall in the area. Very nice, complex sentence, beautiful use of past perfect. Until that point, that's a band 9. Then you talked a bit about Zoom and how it was a Zoom meeting, and that was okay. And then you talked about the meeting was on a Saturday because everyone stays at home, and they were able to attend it. And until then, I still think you had a high band score, like a band 7, 5, 8 even. And it was after that point where you started to kind of slowly but surely decrease your band score.
When I came about the location.
Exactly.
Then I messed up.
Yeah, I was kind of like, okay, where are you going with this? And you started to repeat yourself. So you said there was, after a huge consensus about this, everyone agreed about it. Consensus and agreeing is the same. So it's like you're repeating the same idea using different words. And it's like, okay, you just said they agreed on this because you said there was consensus. So that's where it started to get a little bit less precise, less focused. It started to fall apart a bit. But in the end, you saved it. So I was worried that I have to cut you off. That's what the examiners do. If they feel like the person just starts to go with the ideas, then they interrupt the student and they say, okay, your time is up, we have to go to part 3. But you realize that, okay, this is happening, I'm starting to lose my focus, I better just finish what I'm saying. Yes. And then you said, I had a huge chance to talk at the meeting, and that's why I remember talking about this and that being at this meeting, and then you kind of stopped there, and I was like, okay, you found the period, you found the end point, which is good. That's what you want to do. So if you feel like you're going off in a strange direction, look at the cue card, see the last question, and then say, I remember this meeting because I was at the community center and there were lots of children with me, and I was also thinking about how this shopping mall would impact them. So I talked about it at the meeting, and then you stop there. Okay?
Yes.
All right, Baljit, nevertheless, great on you for giving a response, giving your own version of the response. I really respect that. And I think, it's solid. Just practice giving longer speeches. So I think if you only have to speak for a couple of sentences, you can keep that high band score, the 7.58. But when you have to speak longer, you have to stay more focused. So try to find Toastmasters in your area, okay? That's a club where you do public speaking, and you practice doing presentations in English for free. It's an international club, and I think they've been around for like 100 years. It's called Toastmasters. I think I've said this before, right? But definitely check that out, okay?
Yes.
All right. Baljit, thank you.
Definitely try it.
Yeah, try it out. If you don't like it, you can just quit. Okay. All right, Baljit, that was awesome. Thank you so much, and have a wicked rest of your weekend, okay?
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your feedback.
You're welcome. Bye, Baljit. All right, so that was Baljit. Nuthan, thank you for the congrats, Jyoti Mal. That's awesome. Okay, everybody, so we've had a couple of examples from our members. If you didn't have a chance, members, you can always just try the recording, try the cue card by recording yourself, and then send me the recording to our email, and we can give you a band score estimate. Okay, so if you're like, oh, I really wish I had a chance to do that part 2, but I missed it, record yourself on the phone and send it as an MP3 attachment to Adrian at aehelp.com, and I'll give you a band score estimate for free, okay? All right. Remember, everyone, you can check us out at aehelp.com for academic IELTS and gieltshelp.com for general IELTS. Sign up for a premium package. It's worth it. We help hundreds of students every day, thousands of students every month to achieve their IELTS band scores. We've got another Speaking Part 3 class coming up for you, so don't go too far. That's coming up in 23 minutes, okay? So hang out, and that Speaking Part 3 will be somewhat of a continuation of this Part 2 cue card. Thank you, Mal. Thank you, Nutan, Baljit, Koa. I hope to see you in that class, okay? Sab, welcome aboard. Bye for now. I'll be back soon, okay?